What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 82 of the Sports and Torts podcast, where each week we sit down and talk with folks on a wide range of topics to include sports, law, and business. We appreciate all of you being here today, whether it is on the podcast audio or looking at our faces via video on the J. Stein Law Firm YouTube channel. Fall is rocking along. Weather here in Georgia is starting to turn cold, and we hope you all have enjoyed our recent episodes with some entertaining lawyers and with a bunch of college football talk. But today we are shifting gears from lawyers and football talk, yet staying in the sports and business world. I would argue the guest we have on today captains the ship to one of the most, if not the most important pieces of sports technology that's come along in our lifetimes. He's a busy man up in New York City. He has been so kind to gift us with his time today, and I could not be more excited to have with us today the president of GameChanger, my friend, Tamir Ahuja. My man, it is so great to see you. How you doing? How's the family?
Oh, wow. Well, I thank you, Josh, for having me on. I couldn't imagine a better introduction. So I really appreciate that. And we need some help in PR. So I think you're volunteering to help us. Really excited to be here. Really excited for what you're doing, and love the fact that you're wearing the Game Changer hat, and excited to talk about all things Game Changer.
So I've got the hat, which you sent me and my parents, which is so kind of you. And I've got a surprise for you on the t-shirt I'm wearing. Can you see
Oh
this?
my God, I love it. Love it. Oh, that's the best.
Those of y'all listening on the podcast can't see it, but my t-shirt says, shut up, I'm doing Game Changer. Now, I hope there's not a copyright infringement problem that I just admitted to you with this.
No, you're good. Keep using it. Get more copies made. We'll give you a pass on this one. Yeah.
So my friend Stacey DeMartini, she's been the team mom on our teams for years. She made this shirt probably 3 or 4 years back for me and the other guy on our team that has the Game Changer duties at the game. I tell you, every time I wear it at every park, in whatever state I'm in, it's a topic of conversation. People are like, that's right. Do not bother Game Changer guy.
I love it. I might need to wear it if I don't want to be bothered at work in a meeting or something.
You got to be locked in. So
That's right.
So we met. I think it's a great story. I want to start with that.
Sure.
My cousin Jennifer, her husband Michael, you guys are friends. Y'all were business schools.
Yes.
Classmates,
Yeah.
is that right?
Michael and I were business school classmates, and then coincidentally live in the same town now as well.
Right. And my parents were at their daughter's bat mitzvah over the summer. And, you were celebrity status to my parents. I just got to tell you, they texted me right away, like, you will not believe who we just met. He's the nicest guy. He's awesome. And so, of course, I write back because I like to make things about me. I said, well, ask him if he'll be on my podcast. This is the guy who I'd love to meet. And so I want to hear the rest of the story from your perspective.
It was one of the coolest things I've experienced, and not to take anything away from it, but it's become kind of a something that happens a lot. We're at the mitzvah, and Jennifer, Michael introduced me to your parents, and I could not have met two more loving, warm, nice people. And of course, they were so excited about Game Changer. And as you obviously know very well, it was the fact that they can be in Florida or wherever they are and connect with multiple grandkids and have the shared experience of watching the grandkids play, and then they have something to talk to their grandkids about. And I think they're in the group of grandparents that are catch every game, some in person, some on Game Changer. That's really that's like a big thing for us. The number of grandparents in particular that reach out and thank us and give us sort of praise and feedback for what we're doing. Grandparents tend to they may not live near their grandkids, and there's such a special bond, and to be able to create that connection or facilitate that connection is really an amazing thing. And you could just tell from them when I talk to them, like how much it meant to them. And it really meant a lot to me. And, I'm glad I stayed in touch with them. And it was around that time, actually, like this year, things have gone to the next level in terms of awareness. It was around that time where I kid you not, almost every day now I'm running into someone, could be a friend or a family, a family of a friend or even a stranger who has that special connection through Game Changer. I have a lot of swag as you. I wore. We had a trip to Europe, and I wore the Game Changer T-shirt. My two kids were wearing them at the airport in Newark, in up here in New York. And this mom came up to me, and she was also traveling. They were actually on our same flight, which was a coincidence. And at the airport, she's like, are you connected to Game Changer? Because we had like three of us wearing these shirts. And I said, yeah, I work there. And she had similar reaction to her folks, like just so excited. She was the mom who did the Game Changer. She was like on the team. Her kids were there, and we ended up talking for a while. She wanted to get a photo. Like my kids are like vacillating between being impressed and horribly just like embarrassed by the whole thing, because we're in the airport and other people are like, who is this guy that she's taking a photo with? But it was a really cool moment because you could just see the positive energy that comes from it.
You have celebrity status for sure, and rightly so. And I mean it when I said that it's probably the most important piece of technology in the sports world that I've experienced, because of what you just mentioned, which is it allows, and I'll focus on grandparents. It allows them to follow all of their grandchildren's games without having to be there. My parents have 6 grandkids.
Mhm.
that are all in different sports, and we all live within 15 minutes of each other, which is fantastic. But you can't be everywhere at once. That's the next piece of technology I'm going to ask you to figure out, is how to be everywhere at once. But there's Saturdays where my mom and dad will choose which of the kids to go watch the game, and then the other 4 or
Yeah.
5, they're just following along on Game Changer. I think I sent you a screenshot
Yeah.
one time where she had like
Yes.
5 games popping up at once.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
kind of jumped into Game Changer. People that don't have kids or aren't familiar with what Game Changer does, like what's the I don't know, elevator speech? What's the explanation of
Sure.
what this thing is that we all love?
Sure. Sure. Well, I'm fond of saying that Game Changer is a happiness company. We connect parents and grandparents with the most important game of the week, which is the one their kid is playing in. And because they often can't be at the game because of work or some other commitment, you can watch like you'd watch a Netflix or Disney Plus or YouTube videos on your phone, your iPad. You can watch the games that your kids play in. And the reason you can do that is our app is used by coaches or other parents who are at the game or volunteers to score and stream the game. So we ask people at the game to use our app on their phone, score the game. We take that content, we add value to it, and we share it with all of the family members in the community of that team. And that again could be parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. And we have figured out how to collect content on millions and millions of games, because as you can imagine, every town, village, city in the country, at every grade level, boys and girls, et cetera, they all have teams, private teams, rec teams, high school teams. We collect content on nearly 7 million games a year. And for context, which we did this research, uh, every month on Game Changer, more games are covered than in the entire history of games that have been played by Major League Baseball ever.
That's mind blowing. I mean, I saw a stat you put up, and you can feel free to fact check me. You're the guy that could. Over 26 million games scored, 550,000 teams associated with Game Changer. I mean, that's mind boggling statistics right there.
So I'll quickly fact check you because that's a little bit old. We're almost at 40 million games and 1 million teams at this point. So
I need to catch up. I need to catch up.
You need the update. I'll send you the updated deck.
Sounds like some exponential growth recently, because couldn't have been that far back. I saw that. So I guess the company is going straight up, huh?
It's thankfully been exponential growth. We've grown our users, our revenues, all this stuff. I mean, we basically doubled and tripled every couple of years. The team we have working on this, and we're almost at 200 people, is about the most remarkable team of people I've ever worked with. They're committed to our customers, work really hard, really intelligent group, just really passionate about the mission. And the mission is not just a set of words for us, right? Our specific written mission is to elevate the next generation through sports. And both have kids, and I take really seriously this notion that the world's got a lot of problems. If you think about where we're at today, there's a lot of things that are not where they should be. Us as adults are not going to solve those things ourselves. These problems will take decades. Think of something, let's just say like climate change or whatever. We need our next generation. We need the kids and grandkids to grow up, become good adults, become good leaders, sports is one way that they do that. And sports is something that youth, particularly in America, are spending a lot of time on. So we take seriously this notion of elevating and improving those kids in the way that we can as Game Changer. This is really what brings people to work on our team. They just love that opportunity to just contribute to the future.
So were you a sports guy growing up? I mean, is this like a natural fit for you, or were you a business guy and this was just the project? Or maybe a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. I'm 100% kind of a business guy, worked in business, went to business school. But I'm sort of a sports guy in the work context, certainly outside of work. Like many, loved sports, grew up in the New York area. One interesting part of that is I'm an immigrant. I moved here when I was 8, into, in the 5th grade. And I had a very easy academic transition, all that. I'd gone to like American schools and stuff overseas, but the cultural transition was hard. Like socially, I didn't know popular culture and all the things that like kids did. And so I got into sports, specifically into baseball, just playing. And then I was, very good with numbers and nerdy and all that. So I got into all the stats around baseball, and I had one of those almanacs, like I'm now in the, in the 80s. And I knew every stat, like all professional baseball. I'd watch games. I had one of those like Walkman things that was just a radio. There was no like tape or CD on it. And it was AM radio only. And I would listen to, at the time, the WFAN in New York, where the Mets were on radio, and I would stay up late and listen to them. And so like baseball became my like immigrant experience of like connecting with other boys and kids here and making friends. And so it held that like special place for me. And I always had some passion to do it for work, but I've done a lot of things. I've actually done 4 startups, so that's been more the theme. This is coincidentally, in a way, the second one in sports. I think the fact that I'd done one before made this one viable also, but I also have done a couple in other industries. At this point, though, and again, people say it, and I think you get older, it matters. Like the mission of what we're doing, the fact that I have kids and is so important to me. Like this is now the longest thing I've ever done at work, almost 7 years, and the thing I'm most passionate about. And I mean, and I think that makes sense in the sense that it's probably the most successful thing I've done. And I think that's not a coincidence given the passion and the mission and all that.
Your passion, we can feel it with all the upgrades and innovations and changes to the app. I was thinking about, when you mentioned these big, huge numbers that I was way off on. From my layman's perspective, for me, when y'all added the video component and the clips component, that's when I saw everybody talking about it, right? Like past just following the game stream. But that was something, was that during COVID that was something that y'all looked at?
Yeah, and a 2-part answer. When I love telling the story, the how we decided to build video streaming is a little bit of an epic Game Changer lore. Because as you mentioned earlier, we started as kind of a scoring thing. We March of 2020, everyone, had to not be at the office. Game activity went to 0, as I'm sure you experienced, because people didn't yet know you could do outdoors and all that. And we're looking at this, no game activity. Subscribers are still there. The people didn't leave. And we said, there's probably going to be some comeback here. Everyone's streaming. We're all doing stuff on Zoom, talking to friends, etc. Came in on a Friday, or at home on a Friday. And I woke up and I said, what if we've been talking about this generally for a while? What if we built video streaming right now at the lowest moment of everyone's experience? Our parent company, Dick's Sporting Goods, was shutting stores. They didn't know they could do curbside pickup. It was really early. So I called up our sort of oversight board person and I said, I think we can build video streaming, and I think we can launch it in a few months. This was at noon on Friday. And he said, we'll support you guys, investment, whatever, if you can do this, because I agree this is a good arc. I got off with him. I called, at the time we had a very small leadership team. I called 2 people on our leadership team who ran engineering and product management. And I said, I want to build video streaming, like transform the company, make a huge bet. And I'd like to launch it by September 1st, by Labor Day. And it was late March. And you have 1 hour to tell me if you can do this. Go talk to your team. So they went off. They come back. They're like, all right, this is insane, but we can do this. So I call up board member and I said, we're going to do this. Got the support. We pulled people off other stuff. We basically bet the company on it. Launched the MVP on Labor Day of 20. And 2 years later and 3 years later, now we're the largest video streamer in youth sports. So this was like a bet the company moment in 3 hours on a Friday at the absolute worst moment of COVID. So, it's kind of like feels really good.
I could not love that story more. I mean, tip of the cap, golf clap, all
Thank
of
you.
it. I love hearing the
Yeah.
genesis of how ideas like that come to fruition. And I can just tell you that
Yeah.
there ain't no going back. I mean, people are all in on video.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all can
Yeah.
follow what percentage of users are video versus the game
Yeah.
string.
Yeah. No, and it's amazing. So first year in 21, the first full year was 15%. 22 was 35%. It's at basically 50%. I mean, it's exponential growth. Is it going to be 100%? Probably not, but this is the largest video database of sports video ever created, right? Another a really great story, and it's even more, also relevant here. And this gets a little to, I appreciate you saying, like, we're very successful. We don't ever want to be arrogant. We want to stay humble. And part of that for me is you don't know where the best idea is going to come from. So bring a diverse team together, ask people for their opinion. Like, I never want to just be in my head and assume I know what's right. We started this video thing. We were fully focused on live streaming, and an intern, a rising freshman, so he just finished high school, which was interned with us that summer. So he was starting college. And again, we typically don't hire people that level, but so it was the reason it's also more relevant. It was a mutual friend of mine and Michael's, who is one of Michael's closest friends. You might even know this guy, Jeff Kaplan. And Jeff's son was going to college, and Jeff had been helping us a little bit, so he interned with us. And this 18-year-old Sam said, I know you have me doing this work over here, but I notice you're building video streaming. Why are you not doing highlights? And all these sophisticated professionals were all sitting there like, highlights? Huh. 100 million highlights have been created in the last 3 years. And it is the entire engine of video. Of course, some people watch the whole stream. I get it. A lot of people do. Highlights is the ball game. And a 18-year-old intern, Sam Kaplan, was the person who put the idea in our head. Inspiration can come from anywhere. Like, I will never forget. He's continued to intern with us while he's been in college. I will never forget that. And again, like, a very, very close friend of both mine and Michael's. So it was a great story.
Sam Kaplan, you are the man. I hope you're listening. If you are, my law firm has a spot for bright young minds that come up with things like that, because the clip function is incredible. It does so many things. One thing it does is it takes some pressure off the parent to feel like they have to video everything themselves. Because that was happening for a while, right? Like, every time Johnny's at the bat, you got to film it. And if you're filming it, you're not really paying attention to what's going on, but you can't miss the moment if he actually does what you hope that he or she's going to do. Pressure's off now.
You can't miss,
because that clip is going to be generated for you. I would love to know if y'all can track the amount of text messages sent on Monday morning with a clip of whatever their son or daughter did the day before, because I get dozens every single Monday, and I love every last one that's sent my way.
Yeah, we think, we can try it because it sort of comes out of the app. So I think to date, maybe 30 million clips have been shared. And almost all of that is texting. Some of it's, different text platforms, Message, WhatsApp, whatever it is, but it's all coming out of the app. It's just an astonishing number, when you think about it.
Let's take it one step further. You guys are on the MLB Network, right? A top 10 game changer plays. I mean, is it of the week? Is it of tell me more about that.
This was such a cool thing. So it took us a long time, but we felt like the ecosystem of baseball in the United States, from youth to pro. Obviously, pro is Major League Baseball. Like you were kind enough to say, we're one of the most important brands in I hope to say in sports, but certainly in baseball. And we felt we could create some connectivity between the youth and the pros by doing a partnership in MLB. They were equally excited. And the partnership is about certainly promoting each other, but really sharing content in both directions. And what we have done, which I think is so cool for kids to imagine, is top 10 highlights of the week are on MLB TV and for part of the year, and then on MLB.com on their website, which is even more reach the rest of the year. And it's an opportunity. If you're playing, you're the kid, you're the parent, your highlight might be on there. So we're curating those and we're sending it to them. The response has been amazing. And there's other things. I mean, we're doing a game changer of the month, a nomination for a kid. and it's in partnership with MLB, and the people who get nominated, you get a or win, you get a trip to the World Series. There's some really amazing things. And going into next year, what we're hoping to do is have Major League Baseball content, non-game content, training, other things that kids and parents would appreciate come into our platform, and sort of add even more value to the families and their youth sports experience. It's an incredible partnership. It's so cool to be able to work with the pinnacle of pro baseball.
And you put yourself in the shoes of a teenage athlete or an 8-year-old athlete that makes some big play on Saturday and then ends up on MLB watching it. I mean, the fact they can see themselves on TV alone is crazy, but then on that sort of platform, I mean, it's so cool. If you have any in with
it's really
get my son or one of his teammates on there.
All right, on it. I'm gonna start watching and looking for a good highlight. Yeah, it's a good motivation.
Yeah. So let's turn back the clock a little bit. I'm kind of weary of my facts that I pulled out. So I'm gonna ask you to just tell me a little bit about when the company first launched. I have 2009-ish.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about
2009 is
how they arrived at this idea and how it kind of got handed over to folks like you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was 2009, and the company was founded by two people, one who had a traditional technology background and one who had a business background, but sports, both business and playing. And that individual played minor league baseball. His name was Ted. He played minor league baseball and had a passion for sports, and actually was involved through his family with the Head First camps, which is one of these sort of elite kind of training camps for baseball kids. And the super interesting thing, the inspiration was iPhone had just come out, 07, 08, mobile was a thing. Just digitize the baseball scorebook. As we know in baseball, all the way up to the pros, scorekeeping was a really big part of the culture. So now you have this cool new device, the iPhone. Let's digitize it. In creating an app for coaches that digitized scoring and just took away pen and paper, they were capturing content that had never been captured before digitally. And that created what we call the fan experience, the stuff that you consume or parents consume. And it took a little while to kind of get that going. And one of the things that's unique to this business is the seasonality. So if you're building a product, an app, and you put it out in the winter, you got to wait a little bit, depending on where you are, for the spring to get a lot of usage. So it took some time to get ramped up, but they cracked this notion of sharing something with parents and grandparents early on. And then it took a long time to kind of build it up. And at some point, the founders concluded that to really scale this thing, they needed a long-term partner who was committed to youth sports, committed to sports, and could go through the arc of time that something like this required, given the seasonality. And that's where the acquisition by Dick's Sporting Goods happened at the end of 2016. I got involved right around then on the leadership team, and initially as COO, CFO. And then as these things happen, and often with an acquisition, there's an interest by the founders who, maybe there's some burnout, maybe they're just wanting to do other things. So over the next year or so into 2017 and early 18, the founders both left. And then going into 2019, our board, which is, our oversight from Dick's Sporting Goods, they asked me to lead GameChanger. So it's been about 4.5 years doing that. And so it's almost 7 years at the company and almost 5 years leading it. And it's, again, like the best job I've ever had. And thankfully, the arc of growth and the challenge, I mean, there's been a ton of like good things we've learned and good challenge, and the arc of growth has been incredible. And so just unbelievably fulfilling experience.
Very cool. So the founders, they were looking at it more as data collection, less streaming of the live activity. Because you said it, baseball
initially,
baseball is romantic about its numbers, right? You mentioned it about growing up, reading different things. I mean, that is one sport where numbers matter, statistics matter, and it was brought for the first time to a youth stage. I mean, now kids on our team, they're old enough to be like, what's my batting average? Like, a couple of them, they're 8, 9, they don't really know or care. 12, 13, 14, they start having some understanding of what's good, what's bad. Parents love knowing the stats of their kids, right? They love following it.
They do.
And
they do.
My son isn't old enough for college yet, but I understand that it's a recruiting tool now, right? I mean, are college coaches looking at these statistics to see, which players have the goods?
Yeah, we, again, don't just build for any segment of age. We build for every player at every age, but it is a very powerful tool for kids looking to get recruited. You have good collection of stats. You have your video. So you have your core profile. And we, in fact, have something called the athlete profile, which is your season and career profile of everything you've done. And we leave the decision making up to the coaches and the teams, but they to invite who they want to the team. Many high school age elite club travel teams have invited scouts, invited people from colleges onto the teams to follow. And it's become required to be on there. And the cool thing is families have to do so much work otherwise to put the recruiting package together, kind of like a college application. The amount of time people used to spend collecting stats, doing Excel number crunching, and doing video filming of their own was massive and also extremely expensive. Now, as part of your Game Changer subscription, you get all of that. So we love when we just make someone's life easier, the coach, the parent, etc. And you know what's so cool? MLB just had their annual draft. They had a top 50 prospects. Every one of them played on a Game Changer team. Like we have all the elite players, teams on our platform, you know, in their regular teams, tournaments across the board. It's really cool because it's nice to see some of these folks, you know, now kind of go to the next level.
That is neat. So one of the big powers of Apple is everything they do is very simple. It's very easy to use.
Yes.
I feel the same way about you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a hard. The interface makes sense. It's not hard to enter in, you know, the scoring while you're doing it, and it's not hard to read and review the results. Anybody can do it. Grandparents, we said, it's a big demographic. Not picking on them, but they're not the best at technology. So, are y'all constantly looking at ways to make the app, make the experience? I'll use the word easy because that's my word. But is that something that you're constantly looking
at? Absolutely. So we have not ever stopped investing in the core product. Obviously, we decided to do video streaming. We are continuously adding features. And to point out a couple of things. Well, one, first of all, we've expanded into youth football and basketball and volleyball and other sports. But staying on kind of the general feature set, we have rolled out initially for basketball just this week our first sort of major AI feature. And it's using a branch of AI called computer vision, which is like how a car would drive itself. It like looks at the world. And you can mount your phone, and this is just in basketball right now. It will, not the phone itself physically, but in the camera, it will pan back and forth and it will follow the player and the ball automatically. And so you'll be able to like zoom in more because you can zoom in on one side of the court, kind of like you'd watch basketball, pro basketball or college basketball, completely automatically. That reduces the work of, you know, a parent or coach having to kind of move their arm like this, which is so tiring. And we are going to have automated player tracking, ball tracking, shot tracking. We are going to automate the entire experience that Game Changer coaches have gotten used to doing over the last 10, 12 years. Not happening overnight. And it's going to first happen in basketball and volleyball and football. We're going to come back to baseball and softball on it. But this is the next revolution. We're trying to like disrupt ourselves and do this thing. And the team is like beyond excited about this.
It just blows my mind that that's something that's on the horizon. But what I know about you, I know that if you put your mind to it, it's going to happen. So what are some other suggestions or requests or things that you get? I'm sure people are always emailing, texting, calling, hey, you should try to add something like this. What are some off the wall features people are asking you to try to implement?
And you know, the requests are always with passion, right? Because people really, really care about it. It's interesting. The thing we get a lot is this. It's been kind of an ongoing debate: is how much you're doing on your phone versus on a computer, and by that I mean the setup side of it. It's always been a thing. Like, can I set up the phone, you know, set up the team on web? Do I have to do it on my phone? We've added a lot of that. There are a lot of people, particularly grandparents, who might be, maybe they're a little less mobile and they want to watch on their laptop or their desktop computer, or they're like, why is there no Game Changer app on Netflix? I'm not on Netflix, like on Apple TV or Roku or all of that. So that's probably coming. So, you know, you're on Roku, you're on Apple TV, you see the different channels. Why not a Game Changer channel? Because there are a lot of people just sitting at home and they want to watch on the big TV as opposed to on their phone or even a laptop. That's probably the big thing. We get a lot of now international outreach because sports is more and more proliferating in terms of the intensity and passion for it, the way it's in the US and even at the youth level. So there's, maybe that's in the future as well. And then I would say there's less of a feature. A little bit of a funny thing is, as you know, parents are competitive, coaches are competitive. Sometimes there's a debate about the stats and who, are the numbers right. We sometimes get that, like Game Changer scored this thing wrong. Of course, the irony of it is the person on the team who was using Game Changer, scored it in a way that was controversial. But we handle those. It is what it is. But I guess when we're doing the AI stuff, it is going to be Game Changer's app actually scoring it, and so we'll have to deal with people not happy with the calls that we make.
So you're being very kind with your use of the word. Sometimes there's questions. It's every time, man. It is every single game, and I say that smiling because the people that are on my son's teams are some of my best friends, right? I mean, we go and we have beers together, play golf together, we spend much time together. But when you go to the Mexican restaurant or get pizza after that game, you better believe people are being like, "That was a hit, dude. That was a hit. How'd you give him an error? Or how could you give him an error on that ball? He never could have caught it." It's every single game. So my ask of you
I love it.
is there's 2 or 3 of us that do the game changing on our team. So not one person can catch the heat, right? Because it's different people that are
fair enough.
But what's my go-to answer when the dad says, "Look, man, that was a hit. You gave him an error." Like, what am I supposed to say back to them? Give me some ammo.
Well, well, first of all, they should know they can change it. So, like if someone doesn't know that, but I think the best answer is, well, if you're the one doing the work, I think the best answer is, well, if you want to do the work, then you're welcome to score it the way you want. That's probably the best answer.
That's typically what I say. And then I follow up and I give one more zing. And I said, since I'm doing the work, if my son had hit that ball, I'd give him a double.
Yeah.
Not only would it have been a question if it was a single or an error, I'd have given him a double. And if you want to have that power to do it, here's the phone. Here's the
you got to. 100%, you got to earn the shirt. You got to earn the I'm scoring Game Changer shirt. You don't just get it.
That's so funny. But again, like that just goes to the power of what the conversation is after the game, right? And Game Changer, it's a noun, it's a verb, it's probably other parts of speech because who's going to do Game Changer? I mean, I'm not an English major, but I do recognize that the word gets used in many different ways.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's this is the kind of stuff that drives us. It's just that passion and the competition. We get asked a lot about the competitiveness, and there's moments where it's maybe too much, but almost universally it's very positive, and it's just improving lives and improving kids and challenging them, and I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely. So I saw on social media y'all put out a post recently asking people, or maybe we're asking, maybe just pointing out some very unique places that people are streaming games in the middle of certain events. What are some of the wildest places you have been told that people are following along on Game Changer?
Yeah, and some of them I'll tell you, but I feel bad. But again, this is incoming. We certainly don't encourage this, but watching while at a funeral, we've specifically heard. Watching while flying across the Atlantic, some parent is going for maybe a business trip or something, like over the Atlantic or the Pacific. One that is consistently heartwarming and really important is we hear regularly from military service members who are deployed overseas and who have children and are able to stay connected. At bar mitzvahs, at birthdays, at college graduations, all of those things. And then the other thing we hear is you're out with friends and your etiquette is put your phone away. We're all out to dinner and you're allowed to keep your phone out if Game Changer is on. So we've specifically heard that.
That's the etiquette. My wife actually just walked in the room so she can hear me say this. But she's always yelling at me about put your phone down, don't do this. However,
Game
Changer, different set of rules.
different set of rules. And we similarly heard on date night, if it's date night, you know, a spouse or partner, you're supposed to be there to focus on date night, but no, you can watch the kids. And so, and we've had people like send us photos and of them doing that. We had someone send us a photo where they're literally at dinner, and there's like a margarita and some food, and there's Game Changer going.
We have a parent on our team, a good friend of mine, who's in a music band that everybody would know if I said it. He's a great dad.
Nice.
He's one of the coaches on the team, but they play on weekends, right? And he
Yeah.
has told us that on stage, he's got his music in front of him. He has his phone right to the bottom right of it. While the concert's going on, he is actually following along with the game.
Oh my God. Absolutely love
that's
that.
incredible. So people,
Absolutely.
that's the power of what you have brought, that a rock concert's going on. People are going crazy. A note is not missed, and he is also not missing what's going on in his son's game.
Incredible. That's an awesome story.
Wrap up here in a little bit. I know you get back to stuff you got to do, but real quickly, in terms of like the equipment for streaming, do you have any recommendations on the best kind of setup for people? Because we're always debating, what's the way to get the best quality. The video quality is amazing, by the way. I'm just floored at how great it looks. But do you have any suggestions for us on how to really maximize the experience?
Yeah, well, first of all, and it's I'm sure you're doing this, but a lot of people even forget, just update the app, right? Whenever, some people don't have auto updates because it keeps getting better. In terms of the setup, the phones, we're equally building for iPhone and Android phones. There's a mounting kit that we have that you can buy, and it just helps you mount the phone. It has a battery, it has a cover so the phone doesn't overheat in the sun. That's, I think, a nice add. The other thing, and this is not part of our company, but we have a great partnership with a streaming camera company called Mevo, M-E-V-O, and actually we heard about it initially years ago from people like yourself, our coaches and fans, and terrific company, independent of us, but we have an integration with them, and a lot of people love their camera, and it's easy to set up instead of the iPhone or Android phone, and just takes it up a notch. So we're consistently looking at things in this arena. Should we have other hardware we integrate with? How can we stay at the cutting edge with the phone? The cool thing is Apple, Samsung, whoever's making these phones, Google, they're innovating constantly, and we're piggybacking on the phone innovation. All this AI stuff we're doing is because a lot of that's now built into the iPhone and the Android phones. But again, we want to support all these devices, but just keep the app updated. It's a large number of people don't remember to do that because they don't have auto updates on, which is fine.
Funny you mentioned Mevo, and I didn't prompt that. That's what I've started to use when we went to Cooperstown, your neck of the woods, for a big tournament last year. And we did the Mevo, set up the tripod, had Game Changer running through it. And we announced the games. I mean, I know y'all have a feature where you'll have the voice that does the announcing, but me and a couple of buddies and some siblings on the team actually pretended like we're the announcers. Mevo set up, Game Changer coming through. Yeah. And people are loving it. They're in Atlanta following along.
They love it.
Sitting at work,
love it. Yeah.
Everybody's got two monitors now. They're sitting at work. They've got one monitor that's the game, and it's a good view, and you're listening. So, anyway, tip of the cap. All the stuff you're doing is fantastic. I don't know where we would be without it, quite frankly. So, thank you for that. The last thing I want to do is have people follow you on LinkedIn, because you're one of the best follows on LinkedIn. You always have good, interesting stuff. There's so much crap out there. So we can find someone like you that is very good to follow. I encourage it. So, two-part question. Number one, tell people where to find you on LinkedIn. And number two, how do you view your role at Game Changer and what you can use social media to advance your message?
Yeah, well, again, thank you. First of all the questions were really amazing, and thank you for having me on. I feel like it's really important to share our perspectives and share content and kind of advance the industry. And we view our industry as sports, technology, the combination of those, youth sports. There's a lot here. You can follow me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/SAMEERAHUJA, Samir Ahuja. Just would love to do that. I post pretty regularly. I like to talk about how technology is changing our lives in every aspect of the world. And I think it's really important for leaders to elevate. We talk about elevating kids, which is the mission of Game Changer, and I think it's really important to pay it forward elevate those that are starting out in their careers, whatever they're doing, whether it's business or not, always looking to help people. People should, and they do all the time, cold outreach on LinkedIn. I respond to everyone. If someone's interested in Game Changer or other things, happy to give advice. It's just important that folks that are, later in their career, sadly, I'm not as young as I wish I was, that we help people that are early in their careers. So very happy to engage with our overall, our broader community.
And when you say that, you mean it, because here you are talking to me. I mean, I reached out to you basically cold through my parents, had them do my bidding for me, and you couldn't have been more happy to hop on and more genuine about it. So thank you. People are going to listen to this and love it. I've enjoyed this hour. Selfishly, that's a big deal for me to have this conversation. Get on back to work, get the next innovation, figure out. Not figure out. You already told me how I can handle people yelling at me for how I scored the plays. So we've got that one taken care of. But looking forward to what you guys are doing next, Samir. So thank you so much, man. Have a great day. And look, all y'all for listening. Appreciate you having out there, spending some time with us. Tell a friend if you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff they tell you to do. And we'll see you next week. Until next time, Samir. See you later, buddy. Keep chopping, everyone. Bye.